where we serve you delightful, slightly intense, but definitely worthwhile conversations. A podcast focused on bringing people together by drinking, listening, and conversing. So grab your favorite drink and let's see what's on today's menu. All right, people, welcome to Peeps Creek, the cafe. You know, here at the cafe, we always have a conversation centered around the drink. And today I have my trusty water here. Boom, boom, boom. H2O, always good for the soul. And then you can never go wrong with a good cold glass of bourbon with a little splash of sugar-free Red Bull. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. All right. And today I am joined in the cafe by Quitee. Say hello, Quitee.
Hello, people.
All right. And what are you drinking on over there?
The whiskey mixed drink.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it's mixed with?
I don't know. I just started drinking and it's good.
Okay. So we are on episode 63. Episode 63 is entitled Seeking Truth Through Peace and Healing. So that's episode 63, Seeking Truth Through Peace and Healing. So before we get into that topic, which is really going to be her topic because she's the one who needed all the healing in the world. Because let me tell you, dealing with her was very difficult growing up. All right. So first of all, how was your week? Let's start there.
It was good. Being here visiting you and Davion's graduation. It was good.
Yeah, the graduation was good. My son's graduation was this weekend. And then we did hibachi.
Mm-hmm.
And then hung out. Some of my family came from Detroit. Y'all came from Alabama.
Yes.
To come to the graduation. So it was pretty good. So I appreciate that. And Davion told me to tell y'all again, thank you for coming down.
No problem.
Sound like you over there. Sound like you got dry throat. What's going on? You need some water. All right. So for those of you who don't know, this is my sister. So I have one sister. So she is my youngest sister. Growing up, I felt like we got along growing up. But then once I moved away and you went to the Marines, I felt like I didn't know you anymore. Kind of. We kind of all went our separate ways. I went and did schooling and law school, and then she went to the Marines and got married and went on to her personal life. But also, whenever we would come and interact, I always felt, I don't know, it was hard being around you because you always had attitude. Okay, so you want to tell the people, first of all, do you even know why you were so angry as a person?
I don't know. Maybe I wasn't happy as I should have been, so everything made me angry. Like, it can be the smallest thing and I blow it out of proportion, you know?
Yeah.
And that makes people, I never understood what it's important to have positive energy and all that. So I realized that my anger was just too much. And I was always wondering, like, why people don't want to be around. So they have to take me in increments. And I never knew what that meant. But yeah, I knew it was hard to be around me.
But okay, so let me ask this question. Did you know that it was hard being around you at the time? Or are you saying you found that out in retrospect?
I found that out afterwards.
All
like
right.
Going through growth and maturing, I found that out. I was like, well, wait, back then I was kind of me, like not kind of, I really was me. And I realized that, but going through that, and at the time, of course, you don't see stuff until after it happens. So at the time, no, I just thought everybody else had problems.
So, but okay, so so you thought it was everybody else and not you. But even though everybody didn't want to be around you. And even though everybody was calling you a bitch and everything else behind your back, you thought it was everybody else but you.
Yes, and like people at work, and I'm like, why do they keep calling me bipolar and crazy? I'm like, that's not who I am, you know? But I'm like, it's everybody else, not me.
So what precipitated the growth? Was it just the fact that you became mature, or was there some kind of pivotal moment that you said, I need to change? Like what was it? Do you know?
What's crazy, when COVID first happened, I realized it because I was like, I'm too upset with life and too sad, and I felt like a black cloud was always around me, and I didn't like that feeling. And I
Mm-hmm.
seen it that it was too much taken out on my kids too, and I noticed the way they were interacting with me with fear and not everything, like happiness more than being scared of me. And I don't want my kids to fear me like that. So I had to take a time and realize what was going on within so I can kind of change some things so that I'd be happier because I wanted to be happy. I was tired of being angry all the time or sad and depressed and this and that. So
Did you go through like counseling? Did you do meditation? Like, what was going on? Like, how did you just adjust it to recognize, once you recognize that, okay, I kind of am fucked up, right? How did you recognize the change? I mean, is it just you just did it on like cold
no,
turkey or what?
no. And then what's crazy, I have times where I lash out again and I'd be like, no, I don't want to go back to that person because she wasn't happy. So it started off with me trying to increase my disability. I talked to a counselor, but I only talked to her once. I started walking more and being by myself. I started getting more tattoos. That was therapy for me. Every
Tattoos.
time, yeah. So every time I would get a piece, it was to help me. Like the peace, I had to reach to my soul because I feel like my soul wasn't healed. That was the problem. So I felt like I did spree cleaning of my aura and my energy, and that what makes me feel like, okay, this can be a good change.
But what was it about the tattoo? Was it just that like whatever image that you was placed on your body meant something, or was it the pain of the tattoo? Like, what was it about that was therapeutic for you? I've never heard of that. That's new.
Yes, it was all of that. Like I felt the pain, and then like after, like if I was to get a big piece that meant so much to me, after I would complete it, I would feel like this relief. Like it was just something that came over me and it made me feel like this is really working. Like the tattoo therapy is working.
Did anyone suggest that for you, or
No, I just went out and I started back getting my tattoos, and then I realized like this is helping me. To the more I got tattoos, the more I felt like I was relieving any anger or pain I had within my soul. My soul was being relieved. Cause yeah.
did you go through any kind of like spiritual awakening, like church or gospel music or anything like that?
Well, I listen to gospel music when I'm feeling low again. That helps me. But I stopped going to church. I feel like it was better for me not to go. I'm more spiritual than religious. So I felt like I needed to step away from what everyone was telling me to believe and to find out what I need to believe for me.
And how do you know? There might be people who would say, well, pastors or whomever. I don't know what your religion was that you were practicing, but if it was, I don't know, what was it?
7-Day Adventist.
Oh yeah, see, I don't know nothing about that. And so what do they call the leader? Is it a pastor still?
Just a pastor.
So some people may say, well, the pastors are blessed to understand what the Bible means and understand how to get the religion, get a closer relationship with God, and you not having that educational guidance or that spiritual guidance. How do you know that where you have gone or where you think you are now is spiritual?
For me, I love my pastor. I did. But church, I didn't feel the people like I belong in the church because we started off where we were in a bad place. And I felt like even during our prosperous journey and growing and, you know what I'm saying, we accomplished a lot of things. And I felt like they didn't see the growth. Like they just saw the past.
They been the people in the church.
In the church, yes. I didn't feel like the rest of the church saw it. The pastor would recognize it and say something about it, but I didn't feel like the people did. It just wasn't a building that I wanted to go to anymore because it made me sad. And you're not supposed to be sad going to church.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know when I'm growing spiritually. I feel it. I have talks with God and I feel his presence more. So that's how I know that I'm growing. And you can learn things on your own. That's just how I feel. Like some people believe that they just have to go into church in order to feel God. I don't feel that. I don't believe that.
So, did you go through moments where you were like, some people go through this various steps of healing, right? Some of it is the breaking down of the parts of them that doesn't make them happy anymore, right? Some folks go through the crying and all of that. Like, what was your journey like?
Mine was, I went through a point of frustration. I wanted to give up so bad, like, well, maybe I should just accept me, and whoever don't accept it, forget them. But that's not the way I wanted to live.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through a point where I was crying.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a point where I was just happy all the time. It could be bad news happening all the time, and I still smile. So it just depends on what part of me I was facing and
Mm-hmm.
trying to change. Like the angry part of me, I was getting frustrated. When I was trying to change that part of me, I would get frustrated. But I didn't want to change everything about me, because a lot of things that I did have that I thought were bad, I needed it. You know,
Like what?
like how I would get, I didn't take crap for some people. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to keep that. Like I know now for sure that I'm not responsible for people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter of how comfortable. I'm not here to make you comfortable with dealing with me. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to keep that part of me because that part of me made sense, even if the other parts didn't.
Uh-huh. But but on that point when you're talking about you're not here to make, what did you say? You're not here to make care about other people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that what motivated you partially to change? Like folks' feelings and perceptions about you.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that kind of an impetus though towards you wanting to change who you are? How do you reconcile the two? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they could be two different things
They can.
and competing. So how do you reconcile it so that that you're not concerned about people's feelings, but yet you part of the motivation was that you were concerned about people's feelings.
Yes, and then what's crazy, it sounds so contradicting, but I realized I'm a very contradictory person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I care about people's feelings up to a certain extent. Like, if you don't like certain things that I do, I'm not going to do that on purpose or intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I would try not to do that around you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not supposed to make everyone feel happy just because I'm happy. Those are the type of feelings that I feel like I'm not responsible for. If you want to be a miserable individual, that's on you. But I'm not going to make you feel comfortable with me. I'm unapologetically comfortable in my skin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not apologizing or looking for validation to anyone. And I felt like I was doing that. I was looking for more validation and trying to make everyone happy with me and disregarding me being happy with me, which is more important, is the most important thing.
Right. Because if you're not happy, then how can you be there wholeheartedly for your children, or, open and emotionally, and mentally prepared? So did they see, do you know whether or not they saw a change, and have you all had that conversation when I say them, the children?
Yes, we have it all the time, especially with my oldest, because he used to be like, oh, mama mad, or he used to like tiptoe around me, and I never want him to feel that way, because I never been a good communication. Affection wasn't a thing for us, growing up, like affection and all that. I didn't know how to feel around it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So with him, I had a discussion with him about it, and he's like, yeah, because back then I used to be angry about everything, but now he see that I'm not. Like things that would have pissed me off or made me frustrated and just shut down, it don't do that anymore. I let things go,
Mm-hmm.
and I slide it off
Mm-hmm.
very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold on to everything like I used to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I could see the difference. It's hard sometimes with you, particularly because your facial expressions. So you're over here tearing up my stuff.
No, I'm not.
Your facial expressions sometimes give you the perception that you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you get that a lot? And how do you navigate through that?
I still get it. I get it all the time. And I'm like, well, this is just how my face look.
Mm-hmm.
I have a walking bitch face no matter what I do. So
Walking or resting?
well, resting, walking, yeah, resting. That's what they call it, resting
Mm-hmm.
bitch face. Yeah, I have
RBF.
that. Yeah. So it's not nothing. That's something that it's hard to kind of realize that you're doing it, because I don't do it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that a lot too.
And so you think you're at a place of peace and healing.
I do.
And is that something that you think is ever growing? And in other words, is it a fluid process, or do you feel like you're at peace? You know what peace is, you know what healing is, or are you still on that journey of searching for it? Does that make
Well,
sense?
yes, it does. I feel like I came to a place where this particular piece I'm at, I'm fine if it don't go further because I know what it is now. But I do want to grow and learn more things so that my peace can't be broken because I still have a habit of I try not to allow people to interrupt my peace or break my peace, but some do get in and it kind of like messes it up. So I want to get to the point in the life where nothing can penetrate my peace. Like it's just there. So I believe I'm still growing with it.
Hmm. What amount, if any, do you think your childhood growing up contributed to the unhappiness that you experienced before you began this journey? Or do you think it's a combination of things, even as went and was in the Marines and doing all that? Like, what do you think?
I think that it started in childhood, but it kind of like during life, it kind of like enhanced it. It made me want to because I feel like I was going through the same thing over and over and over again. And I was tired of doing that.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you're at the point in life where you're at peace, or do you feel like you want to get there, or you okay either or?
Uh, I don't know. I think I am at a place where I am at peace. Um, Mainly because I know kind of who I am. I kind of know what I want in life. And I've been gradually getting to where I think I ultimately want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I'm comfortable with being by myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so now that I'm comfortable with being by myself, I know it's fine. Like I can, waking up is beautiful just being able to sit on my porch and read, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without having to worry about anyone
Mm-hmm.
or having to be concerned about what other people may think. Now,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty fun to be around. Um, but I mean, I have my moments too where it's like I hate the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we all go through those moments where you hate something or you hate, who you are or where you
Mm-hmm.
may, how you may react to certain things. I do have those moments, but I think at the end of the day, I'm at peace. I think I've learned to separate myself from people,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be family, friends, whatever. I rarely go home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I don't know, I just separated myself from that part of my life, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want it to seem like, oh, he thinks he's better than the rest of us, because that's not what it is. It's just that home for me isn't the same anymore. It doesn't, I mean, going back to Detroit, it doesn't give me that same warm feeling that I used to
Mm-hmm.
have, right? And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. But I still tell people, yes, I'm from Detroit because I always want to claim it, but it just doesn't seem that way anymore.
Yeah.
And mainly, I think because everyone who I grew up with, who I love, that we always hung around with, they all got their own shit going on in life, right? They
Mm-hmm.
all are grown kids, this, that, and the third. So it's not as cohesive as it used to be. I think is what's contributing to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
Oh no, you answered it. I
uh,
get that.
but it it is a journey. Like I don't know if you ever watch Yana Van Zandt. You ever watched her show,
Mhm.
Fix My Life?
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of episodes.
So I've read some of her books too, which I really liked. So I was reading one of her books that's called Yesterday I Cried. It's one of her old books, right? And there's a passage that I highlighted, and she says this. She says, "The thing that makes the jacuzzi, the money, the love, or anything that you may desire to have or experience in your life worthwhile is your willingness to clean up the crap. Most of the time, it's not even your stuff. It could be something that someone else dropped off in your life. It could be something that you picked up because at first you didn't realize what it was. Sometimes you pick up something thinking it's something else, and by the time you realize what it really is, you've got a real mess to clean up." And so that passage resonated with me because I feel like so often in life as we navigate through it, we tend to, and I know I do this a lot, I tend to make other people's problems my problems, right? And so that thing, that jacuzzi, the money, or that happiness that I'm looking for, is there's always something in the way because it's not necessarily my shit that I have. It's just that I pulled other people's shit into it, right? And so now I feel like I'm obligated to do something. If I don't go this amount, I'm not a real friend. Or if I don't do this, I'm not a real family member. You know what I mean? And so, part of the peace, I think, and the journey, or the seeking truth through peace and healing, is recognizing that sometimes you have to drop people's shit off where you picked it up and allow them to deal with it. But it's hard. It's hard when you feel like, okay, from a religious standpoint, I don't go to church like I used to, but I am spiritual, and I do think part of the blessings that I have is because of the way I deal with people. Like I don't know, I try my best to help as many people as I can in my way, right? And so when I do that, I feel like I'm getting blessings in return as a result of that. But I can also see how someone might think, oh, the only reason you're doing this is because you think you're getting something out of it. You know what I mean? But I kind of digress. But, when you're going through life, you inevitably pick up other people's baggage. And it's hard to separate your own baggage from the baggage that you picked up that wasn't yours. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And that goes with what I was saying about protecting people's feelings. I don't feel like I have to hold on to people I feel like it's not reciprocating my actions with them. And I had that problem too. Like I was more of a friend than people were to me. But I didn't see it until after I let them go. Like, why am I doing so much for you and you're not returning that? And it's not that you're looking for it, but can you at least meet me halfway? But people don't see life the way you see it.
Yeah.
So they're just expected because you're that type of person that they can go to whenever and always going to be there. So they expect you to be that way.
Right.
So
or they'll try to say, well, if you're gonna do something for somebody, don't throw it in their face. That kind of that BS. And it's like, I'm not necessarily throwing it in your face. I'm just saying, like, I mean, come on, like, can you at least pretend like you like you want to be a real friend? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, where's my friendship? I don't feel like I'm getting the same friend I'm being, and I've always been like that with people.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And I say this a lot. I think every relationship requires work, energy, and effort, and so I tend to try to treat my friendships the same I would with a relationship, right? Because ultimately all of it matters and it all requires work. And yes, everyone have the type of friends that they can just, hang out, laugh with, get drunk with. But you still work to get there, right? You still are exerting energy, matching energy. And sometimes what happens, I think, is that we allow people to take the energy from us because we're trying to overcompensate for whatever is missing in that relationship. And instead of just saying, yeah, no, this ain't for me, I'm out, sometimes people work harder towards trying to make something there that really is never going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so is the peace and healing, do you think that it has resonated through all facets of your life, like with your kids, with your family, friends, and love life, or are you?
Well, I think it has, but more so with my kids. Like that was the main purpose. It didn't have to do with family because I don't have to see family every day if I choose not to, or friendships. Even though you want those type of relationships with people, especially your blood or people that you have been around your whole life, you want that. But I mean, I'm not forcing. I don't like being around someone and I feel like their energy is off. Because like people don't realize you can fake words and actions to me, but you can never fake your energy.
Yeah.
So you feel that. So I don't like to force anything or feel like I'm forcing myself on someone. If that makes any sense. I don't like to feel like I'm forcing a relationship with them.
You fucked up my energy yesterday. at the
That
Fudd
was you at
at
Fuddruckers.
Fudd Workers.
Your
You,
whole face was drawn. I'm
my
like, well,
energy was
dang.
gone.
No, that was you.
Y'all didn't suck my energy completely dry. Like you,
Davion sucked your energy dry.
nah. I mean, he contributed to it, but y'all contributed to it too. Y'all was, you know, it's so hard, you know. But yeah, so I hear you. I'm big on the energy thing too. You know, but sometimes you can read energy incorrectly too.
Yeah, you can.
Right?
You
Properly
can.
was what I did yesterday. Like I told you today. Or I think I said something yesterday after the fact. Maybe it was either after we came out of Fuck Workers and I asked you, why did you have attitude?
No,
Remember?
you asked me we was in Starbucks.
Starbucks. Yep. Because, you know, that contributed to it. And you basically said I read it incorrectly. Part of the reason I kind of wanted to do this is based off our conversation from the beach. So that was the first time that I really felt like we had a true conversation about how we felt about things, which was a good conversation. I'm not going to repeat it here, just because you got to protect the innocent. No, but it was a good conversation. Like I saw you differently.
Yeah,
right?
me too. I saw you differently.
And in a better light. You know, I mean, yes, you're my sister, but you also got on my fucking nerves because you always had an attitude. And it was difficult to navigate through that, and it was hard for me as a brother to be a big brother because the natural reaction would be is just the way we grew up is to yah at you, like get your shit together. Why you always got a fucking attitude? And that wasn't going to be productive. It was just end up us fighting at the end of the day. And so I took the easier route out of just backing off and letting you be. But I think I did that, and that was detrimental to the continuation of relationship because I didn't like the energy, I didn't come down as much and see, you know what I mean? Like I didn't interact with you all as much because I just felt like you had a nasty attitude.
And your attitude stink to me.
No, I have a great
no,
attitude.
No. Your attitude, it just seemed like
My attitude is great.
no,
Thank you. All right, this show is over. Thank y'all.
You just always had one of those attitudes like you are unapproachable. So I didn't feel like I could come to you as my big brother because I didn't feel like I knew the way to approach you. And I don't like walking on, especially not now. I can't stand walking on eggshells with people.
Wait, so what do you mean unapproachable? Like I was stuck up or something?
No, not stuck up. It just seemed like you were angry. And I'm like, I didn't know if you were angry towards me or what it was, but I just felt like you always were mad at something. So, and I'm like, is it because of us or you don't like being around us? That's how I felt. But I didn't know how, but that conversation, like you said on the beach, it made me understand you. And it took me this long too. You get what I'm saying? Like, cause I didn't understand you before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was harboring a lot of stuff and anger and misplaced energy, but also rightfully I was protecting my own energy. But maybe I wasn't doing it the proper way. You know what I mean? But it dovetails the whole point of being able to have conversations and not to plug my podcast unnecessarily, but sitting on the beach having drinks, it was easy for us to navigate through that conversation because we were at a place where we were meeting each other at the same place, same time, and we were on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? Which is why I think, you know, this is the whole point of this whole show. It's like, I do think I'm not promoting alcoholism, but I do think that, you know, having a drink, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic, it breaks the barrier. It's an icebreaker, an easy icebreaker to have those uncomfortable conversations. And, you know, sometimes you hear things and it stings or you get upset about hearing it. But it's important because, like you said, you can't always protect everyone else's feelings. Because if you get into the business of protecting other people's feelings, you lose sight of who you are. And then you're a lost soul, right? And then you take that out on people who have nothing to do with the anger issues that you're dealing with, like i.e. your kids. And I've done that. I mean, I'm sure growing up, my mom has directed anger towards us that we didn't have shit to do with it. You know what I mean? But you know, that's just part of life growing up. But yeah, it was a good conversation. I will say that I see the growth. Obviously I wouldn't have you in my house if I didn't. I don't care what kind of family you're. You ain't coming up to here if you got negative energy. Okay. No, but I see that, right? And then the fact that you all took off of your time, energy, and effort to attend Davion's graduation. That's not an obligation. You're not obligated to do that. That's stuff that you could have just sent a card and say, "Hey, congratulations." You know what I mean? But you were here, and it's those small things that really matter. Like you remember those people who make the effort, and like what we were talking about. Part of this journey of seeking truth through peace and healing is recognizing that just because people are family don't mean that you gotta bend over backwards, right? If people are not making any kind of effort to meet you part of the way, you have to pick and choose when you want them in your life at that point, I think. All right. Anything else? Are you done talking?
No, I mean, you were talking, but
Sorry, I'm done.
oh no, you're fine.
Go ahead.
But I just feel like that's the whole thing. Like, just because you're blood, I don't have to necessarily, like you said, bend over backwards because you're family. So I don't go out of my way for people just because they're family. Like, I try, and that's all I can do. But I'm not going to continue to try for me and everyone else because that's not my job. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't like my energy polluted. I don't like none of that. Negativity, I don't like that.
Yeah. It definitely needs to be something that where you all are all in sync with each other. And yeah, I mean, family are just like relationships, in my opinion. It requires work, but it also requires all parties involved to want to work. And there are some people who are just stubborn, who don't want to work, or some people just don't know how to.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. We didn't know how to communicate with each other, right? We grew up in the same fucking household. But granted, I left. Ooh, what grade were you in when I left? I don't think you were in high school. You were in middle school, right?
I think I were in middle school. About to go to high school. I think
Maybe.
I was in 8th grade, something like that.
Yeah. And so, that whole part of you going into high school was lost for me, right? And so you couldn't necessarily depend on me as a big brother at that point. I mean, you could call me, but I mean, it's not the same because I lost that. And it's not because I didn't want to be there. I wanted to go to school, but I don't think we did a good job of working towards keeping that relationship open and honest. Does that make sense?
It does.
But I'm glad that we're able to kind of like have that conversation now. And I feel like I can call you and, bitch and complain about people, or even myself, something I'm going through. I feel like that me being vulnerable would be safe, right?
Yeah.
Before I didn't feel that way, and you also said you didn't feel that way.
I didn't.
Yeah. And I take this moment to I'm sorry you felt that way. I think it was just I don't know.
Yeah.
Misreading the energy, and two people who have anger sometimes just can't see through the fog of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm proud of your growth. I'm glad that you are seeking your element of peace and healing. I can see it because I genuinely like being around you now.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's always felt like it was a barrier.
Yeah.
Whenever we try to talk or try that relationship, it was always something getting in the way.
Something getting in the way. Yeah.
It was like something was blocking it. I don't know what it was. But I'm glad we unblocked it.
Your energy.
No, it was yours too.
Okay. I'm just letting you know. But I'm glad it's fixed now. And I'm looking over here on this wall, and I'm looking at the wine pitcher at the bottom, and it's bothering me sitting here because it's crooked. It needs to go up on the right. Hold up. Keep talking.
Oh my God. Something is really wrong with you. You know that?
Yeah, but it's bothering me. So there's another piece of this book where she says, she been a Yana Van Zant. She says, um, it now seems absolutely amazing to me that when you really need help, the ego, your pride will not allow you to ask for it. Have you been in situations where you knew you needed help, but your pride, your ego got in the way?
Yes, I have most of my life.
Yeah, that's how I am. Like and I think that contributed to the anger, right? Because I felt like I couldn't ask anyone, but then I didn't even try.
Yeah.
So how do I know I couldn't ask for help?
Yeah.
But it was my pride not wanting to be seen like, that I needed, like I couldn't manage it, right? That contributed to that. And I think for me, I don't know for you, but for me, I always felt like I was not expected to need help. I was more expected to be the helper, even growing up.
Yeah, I felt like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Because I felt like I was always the shoulder and I couldn't have no one else's shoulder. So I felt like, dang, you out of all people asking because I wouldn't ask. I
Right.
felt like, why are you asking? This is not what people expect of you. So I didn't.
yeah.
I just got to the point where I was like, well, if I don't have it, I don't have it. That's
Yeah.
just how it's going to be.
Right.
So
You just figure it out and navigate through it.
yeah.
But a lot of times that's us blocking our own. Like I know I do that. I know that's one of my biggest issues is I'm always in my head and I overthink everything. I overthink everything. And so for me, part of my journey, one of the most important things that I think I want to get through navigating through my journey of peace and healing, because I'm not there. Definitely striving forward every day. But one piece that I do want is to be free to be vulnerable. Because I think vulnerability teaches us lessons. It teaches us humility. It teaches us resilience. It teaches us the ability to problem solve, right? And I say this a lot, like, growing up in Detroit, there were so many things that we did not have that we had to create from nothing, right? And so, and this is no different from any other Black person story. I think Black people are some of the most resilient individuals because we had to do without for so long, most of us, that you have to find ways to flip it, right? Think of something as stupid as batteries, right?
Yeah.
Now, growing up, damn well, we ain't had no stock of AAA or double A batteries. What we'll do is when we finish with those damn batteries, we'll put the shit in the freezer, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you find ways to, like, get what you need by what you don't have.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's one thing that I want to continue to particularly do in this journey of seeking peace and healing is to learn to be a little more vulnerable.
Yeah. And then that's my thing too. Like, I'm an overthinker. I overanalyze everything. It can be a small thing and people be like, why are you overthinking it? You
Right.
know? So I'm trying to learn to free my mind. My mind be so clogged at times. And I'm like, why am I still thinking of this? So I'm learning how to mentally let stuff go
Yeah.
than I have spiritually. Because yes, it doesn't bother me, but my mind still replays it. So that's hard for me. And I'm learning how to be vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And I need to learn how to show affection and know that affection is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, affection for us as a family unit just wasn't there. Yeah. It just wasn't there.
Yeah,
None of the households that I knew, right?
Yeah.
Some were a little different than others, but it just wasn't there. And yet affection is important, particularly when you have children. And so one thing that I tried to do, and I said this in my Father's Day post, is that, I make it a point, even when I am upset with Dave Young, because he does have a smart ass fucking mouth, right? Want to punch him in his fucking throat, right? I want him to see me to being affectionate with him. We hug each other. We say we love you. Like, it's those things that you don't do a lot, and I didn't receive a lot growing up, so I didn't know how to receive it when someone tried to give it to me, right? But I knew in my path of navigating through life that that was a piece that destroyed who I could be, because I didn't know how to be affectionate. I didn't know how to be loved, right? Or to love other folks. And so that was one of my biggest things of reaching for my point of peace and healing. And being a parent, it forces you quickly to figure out where you want to be. Either you continue to place kids in the predicaments that you were in that you didn't like, or you find a way to flip it and change it. Like I didn't grow up with my father, right? But I make it a point. I don't give a shit what's going on. I don't care how upset we are with each other. I want my son to always know I'm there, period, right? I'm always going to be in his life. I may not always give him what he wants, right? But I want him to understand that me being his father is one of the most important things in my life outside of anything else. And, that took me some time to learn because I just don't think we were equipped with that growing up. That's just my opinion, but.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I had to learn affection. I'm still learning it. I'm learning it's okay for people to show me how much they care. It's okay because it feels awkward at times when you get it or you try to do it. Like I had a situation where Kai's father, he was like, I don't feel like you love me. You don't even show it. Like, how am I supposed to know this is how you care? Because I didn't know how to show I love you, And then when I did do it, it felt strange. Like, I was like, what is this? This is not how I'm supposed to be feeling or what I'm supposed to be doing to show someone. Like, this is not the right way because I didn't know it. But I'm learning, especially for my kids, I had to realize, especially the youngest one, he's very open to everything. He's different, So he don't care about showing you affection. He don't care where he is. So I had to learn, like, this is the normal. This is supposed to be how he's supposed to interact with me, So I'm learning as well. And it's a nice experience growing and healing and finding peace.
Yeah, it is a nice experience, but it also could be lonely.
It is.
Right? Because you tend to shy away from those folks who filled void in your life. But even though they filled void in your life in wrong way, right? They were not supposed to be there. But because they filled the void, you allowed them to continue to be in that space. And you took in the false perspective that you loved them as a person or that they were a great friend or this is someone that you really want to hang out with. And when reality is that they're not, right? And so, growth can be lonely though.
It can be. It can be. Like it was the saying that I saw, and it was like, even the right part of me can be the wrongest way for the wrong person.
Yeah.
Or even the worst part of me can be the best fit for the right person.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the case. Like no matter how good I try to be for somebody, if they're not right for me, they're not right for me.
Yeah.
No matter what. Some people are just supposed to be in your life for a second.
Yeah.
But you have to know who those people are that you're supposed to hold on to, because that's hard too.
Yeah.
And then you try not to pull away from everyone, but going through growth, like you said, it is lonely.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's supposed to be there and who's not.
Yeah, you're going through a stage of purging. And sometimes you purge the wrong people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you purge the right people.
Yeah.
But it's a process. Like I say this, I don't really only have like in this area like 2 or 3 friends that I hang out with all the time. Right. I thought I had more, but then I realized that, we're not really friends. We filled voids in each other's space and time at that moment in time. And so, it is what it is. I mean, but yeah, it gets lonely. But it is a process and a necessary process because once you get to the point where you're able to know, first of all, who you are, right? And as you age, I guess age typically helps you get to that point. And then you kind of know who you want around you, right? But, part of that process also is that you eliminate people so quickly now, at least I do, that you don't give them enough chance to grow on you. Because sometimes people have to grow. Right? Yeah. Because you if you go and buy a plant from the fucking Walmart, if you don't do something to it, it's gonna die. I mean, hey, it's gonna Walmart. Hey. But B, you know what I mean? You have to nourish whatever you're getting to get whatever the end result is. But so
I don't give people chances. I know that's how I am now. I don't even allow people to grow them. They have to be persistent in order for me to be like, okay, maybe this person was cool. Like I told a girl at work one day, like I thought you was so dinky. I didn't want nothing to do with you. But I was like, but learning you, I like this you. Like this was
Mm-hmm.
the you that you always been, but I didn't allow you to come into
Mm-hmm.
my space and allow you to show me who you were.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I allow people to do that now because once I started going through growth, I felt like my energy was vulnerable then. Like a lot of people was opening up and feeling like they can come to me because I was this different person and this free person that people was seeming like I was approachable.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
But okay, so on that point though, do you think that like you were saying that they have to be persistent, but do you think that as a result of that, that you are given the signal that you're unapproachable, or do you think it's just that's just what it is? They need to work towards it.
I well, some it seemed like they feel like they need to work towards it because I tend to put my guard up and I try not to because I feel like that blocks blessings and
Mm-hmm.
blocks things that's supposed to be for me.
Mm-hmm. There's a
But
great book out called "Don't Block the Blessing" by it's an old book, but it's by Patti LaBelle. It's a great book. You should read it. And she has a song that says "Don't Block the Blessing," which is a great song too. But go ahead.
you just had to shout her out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just feel like some feel as though that's what they need to be persistent. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I was persistent with them, and that's what they feel like they should reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just some that's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't feel like if they continue to do things, then maybe I'll forget about them,
Yeah.
or I won't recognize that they're there and trying to be in my life.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes sense. But yeah. Okay. Well, this was a great conversation.
Yes.
Anything else you need to say before we wrap it
Feel
up?
like we've been talking for about 9 hours.
I know. About 45 minutes or so with all the hiccups in between that I'm going to take out. Anything else on your part?
No.
All right. Well, anyhow, you are on episode 63. Episode 63 is Finding Truth Through Peace and Healing. I want to take a moment to thank Quitee for being here. Anything else you want to say to the people before we depart?
Nothing. Peace is a journey. It's not a sprint. So it's a marathon. You have to go through the bad to get to the good. So don't give up. You'll find peace.
That's right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Do not give up, people. All right. So make sure here at Peeps Creek, we always have a good conversation centered around drinks. It does not need to be alcohol, but my brother like a little alcohol every once in a while, so that's what I choose to do. But you'll find all our links on the video to our social media. If you want to communicate, be on the podcast, send an email. The link will be there for you to do that. Make sure that you tell a friend. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. View us wherever you view podcasts. But yeah, that is all I have for this particular episode. It was good though. I like the fact that we were able to have the discussion. It gave me an episode to have. But B, it was a good conversation. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation on the beach, which precipitated this conversation to do it on the podcast. So I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable and do all that. But yeah, until next time, make sure that you continue to drink, listen, and converse. Peace and love.